Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to install Ghost CMS using Portainer and OpenMediaVault on a Raspberry Pi. What is Ghost CMS? Ghost CMS is an open source blogging platform. I'll be using Ghost to host my blog rather than WordPress or some other pay-for services that are available. Before we can begin, we need to first install Docker, and then Portainer, and then host Ghost within a Docker container. Let's begin. Go to Systems and then OMV Extras. You'll see two options here, Docker and Portainer. We'll want to go ahead and install Docker. Here you can see where it's not installed. Click Install. Okay, once that's completed, click on Close. When you go back into Docker, you should now see that it's installed and running. So once Docker is installed, we're going to go to Portainer. We're going to keep these default settings and click on Install. That's completed. We can go back to Portainer and we can see that the status has been up now for a couple of seconds. We'll click on Open Web, and that's going to launch a new tab here for us and get us logged into Portainer on that new port 9000. So by default, username is going to be admin. You can change this if you want. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to go ahead and type in a password and going to create a user. And that's it. Portainer is now set up. The next thing we want to do is go ahead and look for Ghost. To get Ghost installed in Portainer, click on Local and App Templates. This is going to give you a list of all of the readily available images for you, including Ghost. You can either scroll down and find Ghost, or you can search for it at the top. Once you click on Ghost, we'll be presented with this configuration screen to set up the template. Under name, we're going to call this MesoCloud blog. That's the name of this container, so we can easily identify them once we add more Docker containers. Towards the bottom here, we're going to click on Show Advanced Options, and for the host, I'm going to give it the port 9100, so that way I can keep all the Docker containers within Portainer within the same or similar range. All the other settings we're going to keep default. Click on Deploy the container. It only takes a second, and now we have that container running. The next step, we're going to open a new tab and navigate now to that IP address with that port, and there's Ghost. Now, one thing I want to note is when you look at the home button here, pay attention to that URL. It shows localhost port 2368. That's the localhost 2368 as if I were on the server, but because I'm on another client within my network, it's not going to work. So what we want to do is add an environment variable so we can hard code the IP address for us. So let's close this out. And the first thing we want to do is stop the container. And now we're going to edit. On the screen, if we go back into the advanced container settings, we'll go into this environment tab and add a new variable and use URL. We're going to use that same IP address with the port number. It's important to note that you want to include the HTTP or it's not going to work. If you wanted to at a later time, map this to a reverse proxy like Nginx, so that way you can open this out to the internet and have this routed to a subdomain or domain of your choice. Then you would want to update this value to match that subdomain or domain. For now, we're going to keep it here on our local network, and so I'm going to use the IP address and port number of our server. Once that's completed though, click on deploy the container. Again, it'll just take a second to redeploy. And if we go back now into that URL, let's give another second to redeploy everything. Ghost comes back up again. This time when I go to home, it's now mapped to my local IP and it's taking me back to this page. So once we've corrected that issue, we can now go into Ghost, which is going to be our admin panel, and create our site here. So we'll call this Miso Cloud Blog. Skip this step. And that's it. We're on the admin panel. From here, I can go ahead and start creating posts, add posts, and all of those fun things to get my blogging site started. I wanted to give a shout out to the channel Awesome Open Source, where I followed his guide to create this video without Nginx. If you're interested though in seeing the steps on hooking this up right away so it can be available immediately, follow the link in my description below to see his full tutorial. Later, I will add the Nginx proxy manager after I've created the other services like Nextcloud and PeeWeeGo in OpenMediaVault to show how all that process works together. This was just a quick tutorial on how to get it started. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video to watch the rest of my journey in building out my NAS Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi? Anyway, hope you all found this tutorial informative. I'm not an expert in any of these things that I'm showing you, but I wanted to share what I've learned as I go through this process to make it easy to follow for you, and also to help me if I ever need to go back and do all of this again. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.